Welcome to Witch Hat Chats. Come on in and sit for our spell. We're sponsored by Evermoving We Rise Institute, Evermoving We Rise Temple, and Saul Ravencraft, Wizards for Hire. I am your goddess host, Miss Flame, and our co-host, Saul Ravencraft, is somewhere around here. Where is he? Saul, where are you at?
Here I am. I am always lurking somewhere, I suppose.
Hi, Saul.
Hello.
How you doing?
We reach across the Great Divide.
Ooh. Oh, yeah, it's so far down there in Texas. Are you cold?
I am cold. It's very cold today. It's cold enough that the cat doesn't want to be outside. He went out just long enough to do what he needed and then come right back in. And it's not generally the way he likes to do things. So.
Oh yeah, it's freezing here.
Yeah.
God, it's not supposed to get up any higher than 35 degrees today.
But, you know, I don't feel like I can really whine about it. I mean, there are people that deal with much more winter than I do, so I can handle a few days of it at a time.
Oh yeah, because you deal with what, the 110 degree weather?
Yeah, it used to be 105, but now it's closer to 110 during the summers. So, but that's just a coincidence. That doesn't mean anything.
Right. Right. All right. So what is our divination for the day?
Well, the divination today is all the water in the world can't sink a ship unless it gets inside. Seems kind of relevant.
Yeah, you know, and I was thinking about the what was it? The Poseidon.
Mm-hmm.
And you told me, well, because it flipped on its side, that's how the water got in.
Yeah. When the water can't get in, a boat tends to float. That's the way they're made. And I think that's relevant. One of the things that I find intriguing is when I see interviews with actors and creative types, they talk about the reviews and the terrible things that people say about their work, and they say I don't look at that stuff, and that's you know, from one perspective you think, well, yeah, but don't I want feedback? Don't I want information that's going to help me grow? Don't I want things that'll help coach me? But that's not what that stuff is. That's criticism and cruelty from people that just got to mouth off about stuff. And you know, most of the people that put information in reviews like that, they're not very thoughtful about it. They don't have anything constructive to say. They're just throwing up. They're they're just angry people. They want to see the pain of that. And I don't get it. But man, what a beautiful thing is self-control, to be able to just turn off all of that criticism and all of that vitriol, and to stay on target. It just, I think that's a gorgeous thing.
Well, when it comes to being, famous and being an actor or actress, I think, or a singer or a musician, I think to a certain degree you have to be like that. Um, because you got all these tabloids and they make up things about you all the time. It's kind of like when you become a celebrity to a certain degree. Um, like me, I know I've got rumors that are not true that are going on around about me. I hear it all the time. And if you don't sit here and learn to laugh about that, you're going to take it personally. And one of my laws that I have is don't take it personally, because it's about them. It's not about you. It's about them. And you are the commander of your ship, right?
Right.
And in order to keep your ship afloat, you have to keep the water out. So what's the water? The water is bullshit, right?
Yeah.
So you got to keep the bullshit out.
I saw a
There
great
you go.
I saw a great video clip with Molly Shannon, who was on Saturday Night Live, and she and Will Ferrell did a lot of bits together. The cheerleaders were the one of the characters that they did, and she said that she and Will had an agreement that when they were doing a piece and it was bombing, that they would lean into it further, that they would become great dramatic actors, embracing these characters and portraying them as really as they could, and just lean into the bomb and embrace it. And I thought that was really wonderful. In some way their attitude was, okay, well, this isn't working, well, fine, and they would just get all Shakespearean about it. And if it was not going to work, it was not going to work on the highest levels. And they leaned into that together. So if nothing else, the two of them were able to walk out of there laughing, that they got to play their own game in the middle of all that. I find that inspiring. I relate to that somewhat. I've certainly done some of that.
Right, right. It reminds me of when I was 16 years old, and one of my mentors had told me to go into this bar and to get his money. And I remember, and it was one of those, what do they call it, motorcycle game bars. And I'm sitting here, and if everybody knows me, I'm 5'1".
Uh-huh.
Okay, and I'm really, really little skinny little thing, and I'm like, you got to be fucking kidding me! You want me to walk in there and go to the owner and get your money? And he's like, yes, I want you to do that. And this was a mentor of mine who you didn't say no to. And he just looked at me and he says, remember what I taught you. And he taught me that whenever you go into a place, you act like you own it. Period. you never back down. He also taught me about how to raise my chi and how to lower my chi. So when you raise your chi, the whole room notices you, and when you lower your chi, nobody finds you. Nobody notices you, and that's always very true. And so that's how I always get around, and it actually works.
It's valuable to have
And I was
a coach
actually,
like that.
I really truly miss him, um, because I mean he was smaller than me. He came up to right here to me, and and I was able to walk in there, and people looked at me. And see, the thing about it is, when it comes to women, they look at women a little bit different than they do men. And I did run into a little bit of trouble, but I was able to handle it myself. And I got his money, and I came back out of it, you know, no problem, in about 5 minutes. And it was fine. But his rules, I stuck to his rules, and I was able to get it. So basically, you always act like you know what you're doing, even if you don't. You still act like that. Um, and I was just really amazed how just a few rules and just following his instructions, I was able to get what I needed, and it was not a problem. So there's another way of keeping your boat afloat and being able to steer it.
I definitely like the idea of the confidence. Um, I think that there's a fine line between being confident and I, I think sometimes you need to admit that you don't know what you're doing, and that
It, it
you need help and you need support, and that's not weakness. I think right now we're dealing with in society a whole group of people who really do not know what the fuck they are doing,
mm-hmm.
and they are not letting that get in their way. Now, the cynical side might say, "Oh, they know exactly what they're doing," um, which would be even worse. But there's a lot of people that will sort of bluster their way through things, and I've been guilty of this. I was taught that you always have to have the answers, and so I would I would kind of bluster my way through things where I really didn't understand. And that's, I think, a mistake. I think there's a lot of strength in opening yourself up to the expertise and the knowledge of people. But I don't think you have to give up your leadership or your position to do that. I think there's a way to do that with some grace, and maybe we're not as good at that right now as we should be.
I do agree, but I do think it depends on the situation at hand. When I was 16, I don't think that would have been a good time. I admit that. I do not think it would have been a good time because I would have been placed in a position of weakness, and they would have come down on me very, very hard. Um, Now, like for example, the situation you're talking about, I think that they should admit that they have no idea what the hell they're doing. I admit that. Um, and in certain situations, when it comes to leadership, what the leader should do is should place themselves in a position where there's people that know more than they do around them. That's the reason why they're supposed to have a council of advisors around them. And then they say, well, I may not know all those answers, but let me write that question down for you, and I will get back with you with those answers. That was the way I was also taught how to be able to hold your grace, hold your standing, let people know, hey, I may not know all the answers because I don't. For example, I have been in the craft for technically over 40 years. But do I know everything about the craft? No, I definitely don't. Byron Ballard has been in the craft for God knows how long, and she doesn't know everything about it. She will probably tell you that. Same thing with Dorothy Morrison, and we can name how many others. They will probably admit the same thing. But they're all masters of their craft. But does that mean that they know every single thing that goes on? No, nobody does. Because number one, there is so much knowledge out there, nobody can know every single thing that goes on. Plus, there is so much new things that are being created as we speak, especially when it comes to technology and AI being created. There's so many ways of thinking about magic that's being used and everything. When I talk to AI to try to figure out how I can explain some of the things that I know to students, to people who don't understand magic. I try to figure that stuff out, and it explains it to me in a more simpler format than what I can try to explain to somebody else. And then I take that format and I break that down. So it's just depends on how you use things, how you're being able to do things. So no, when somebody tells you they know everything, yeah, that's going to be called ignorance, or what do they call it? What's the term, Saul? It begins with an A. Um, when they're
Sorry, I'm
I
not
can't
not all the
pronounce
way
it.
inside your head on this.
You're supposed to be there. Where the hell are you? Um,
Probably
um,
up my own butt.
uh, um, they're being an asshole. Okay. I'm just going to say they're being an asshole.
It starts
But
with an
they're
A.
yeah, but it's not the right A. But but it'll do. Um, but they don't know everything, and they're pretty much lying to you if they say that they are. And just because a lot of people are third degrees, doesn't mean they know everything about their own tradition either. So that's another thing that they're lying about. Anyway, there's my 2 cents. So
Well, there you go.
so there's how you keep your boat afloat. You throw the bullshit out. There you go.
There you go.
All right, so we are going to take a quick break and listen to these amazing thoughts from our wonderful sponsors, and we will be right back with Witch Hat Chats. Stay tuned. We are all magical beings. As a solitary practitioner, you forge your own path, growing, evolving, and discovering your power. But the solitary road can be difficult, filled with challenges, setbacks, and self-doubt. What do you do when things bump back? At Evermoving We Rise Temple, our name is our way of life. We understand that spirituality is deeply personal, yet the journey is easier with guidance, support, and community.
Here, you'll not only learn to wield the magical tools at your fingertips, but also develop the personal responsibility and confidence to own your magic. In our safe and welcoming space, you'll gain the reinforcement you need to master your craft, surrounded by a magical family that stands strong together. Step beyond the solitary struggle and step into a thriving community dedicated to your magical evolution. Start today. Visit our website, Linktree, or Facebook page. Discover why we don't fit in the box. And coming soon, the Evermoving EWRI Institute, your next step in mastering your spiritual path and deepening your magical practice. The journey doesn't stop here. Are you ready to rise?
I'm Saul Ravencraft, co-host of Witch Hat Chats. I understand just how confusing and chaotic it can be to open to a path of magic and manifestation. Everything seems to turn on its head. I want to be an ally as you find the way upon your path. My studio setup will let us do readings, coaching, and exploration virtually, just as though you were sitting across the table from me. One size does not fit all, and we will work together to craft the right approaches to build your practice, your confidence, and your power using the tools of divination, magical works, and spirit connections. It's never too late to embrace a new path and emerge empowered. Go to TexasMojoMan.com and select Contact to begin. There's a message now. Let's get started working on your very good fortune.
Hello, it is Saul Ravencraft. We are back. I am here with Miss Flame. We are on our ships. We are adrift at sea, but we're still afloat. So I guess that's good, right?
I guess so.
At least we're still afloat. I don't know how far that boat metaphor is going to go. It's a weird time right now. It really is a weird time. One of the things that is happening is just this work that's being done to isolate people, to get people to mistrust, and I've actually got a video that I posted on Facebook. It was an anti-fascism film developed by the U.S. Army in 1945, and it talks about how the technique of dividing people up and creating mistrust created the environment where the Third Reich could form. And it was so weird to watch that film and the way they were hitting those points and the ways they were describing that, along with the kinds of attitudes that we're seeing right now, where people's bigotry has been emboldened and they're using that, and the ways that at least I know for myself, I feel like I've been knocked off balance a little bit. I feel like my ideals are still there. I still feel like I support people who are different from me, but I'm not, I feel adrift. I feel so unanchored right now, and I find all of the information, all of the ideas, it's a fire hose, and it's eating my brain like a worm. and even magically, it's very difficult. At least I'm finding it difficult. Maybe you're not finding this.
No, it's, I was telling you off camera that right now I'm not recognizing my own country. I grew up being a patriot. I love my country. I love the ideals of it. I love being able to go to anybody and all of us come together and uniting. I believe that we are, it doesn't matter what your color, ethnic background, sexuality, whatever your difference is, we can all come together, sit down, and have a conversation and unite. All this disagreement, all this fighting, all this
Cruelty.
conflict, I just don't.
The cruelty.
Yeah, it's cruelty. I don't recognize that. I and it's really upsetting me.
Yeah.
I just don't recognize my own country in the way that these orders are being just written, and there's no other form of government that's saying, I'm sorry, but you need to stop this right now. Was trying to protect people. It's like it reminds me of my ninth grade economics class. I hated that class because it was a class in which the teacher, he wanted us to take notes word for word for word that he said, and he spoke very, very quickly. And he talked about communism, and I remember, the one thing I remember about that class is he said that a democracy will always become eventually a communist country. And I always thought that he was wrong about the United States. I always thought about that. And I'm sitting here thinking, that everything that's happening, what am I seeing here? Am I seeing that this is becoming true? Is this what it's at? Is Karl Marx, which is one of the fathers of communism. If you guys want to look it up, you're more than welcome to. Is he actually right when he kind of, I don't think I said it quote for quote, but is he actually right about that? And I really hope he's not, because I love my country. I love democracy. I want it to return to its original roots, to where we become the democracy that we are supposed to become. And instead of taking all these people and just flying them out, and even making prisoners and putting them in encampments places, which, by the way, we're not supposed to be doing. That's not what our Constitution was meant to be doing. Okay. And then trying to buy other countries and having other countries paying for these countries. What the hell is up with that?
Well, I would love for us on our podcast to be able to straighten this ship out, keeping with our metaphor here. But I would also be amazed if we were to accomplish that. And admittedly, it's bigger than us. It's as big as all of us. And so as
Right.
individuals, we've got to keep ourselves afloat. And one of the things that you and I have both mentioned is our magic, our sense of connection seems to really feel disrupted right now. And
Right.
I don't think that's accidental. I think that we are undergoing a form of magical attack with all of this. And so how do we, as individuals, keep our foundation strong enough to help bring other people up and help them with their foundations so that we all don't lose ourselves in this chaos, right? I'm a chaos magician. I'm not afraid of chaos, but this is the wrong fucking kind of chaos. Right? That's not what we're talking about, right? So what do we do as individuals to not get lost in all of this, and especially spiritually and magically?
Well, the
Do we have
first
to
thing
just
we
go
need to
hide?
do- no, no. The first thing we need to do is pick out all those weeds in our foundation. Make sure all those weeds are gone.
And what do you mean by that?
Like, what I mean by that is, number one, is there any false beliefs that you have about yourself? That's first we need to get rid of. Anything that's negative about yourself, that's the first thing you need to get rid of. And you need to make sure that you're connected to your spiritual entity, your spiritual guidance, whether that is a deity. And I'm sorry, atheist, you believe in something, whether that is yourself or that is science or whatever the hell that is. You believe in something because you get up every goddamn day. You have to believe in something to get up every damn day. I don't care. You believe in something, so whatever the hell that is, you believe in it. Just shut the hell up. Anyway,
Stephen
just
Fry
it
does
is.
a beautiful job of eloquently describing how someone who is an atheist can live in a world of virtue and beauty and hope, that you don't require a deity or a doctrine to be able to do
Right.
that you can just be human and loving.
Right.
And so yeah, you know, there's absolutely plenty there for everybody.
Right. Right. But but the thing about it is, you have to believe in, if you believe in yourself, that's fine. You don't have to believe in a deity. I'm not saying that. You have to believe in something, though, in order to be able to get up and to continue on with life. Because if we don't believe in anything, the human spirit will pretty much be done with. That's the one thing about it. And then make sure you keep your connections. Like, call your friends, and if you're close with family, which I know a lot of us are not, call your family. But call your friends. Keep your friends connected. You know, just call them and ask them. I just want to call them. I'll just call. Just say, I love you. I don't give a shit. You know, call them and just say, I want to know what the hell is going on in your life. I want to know, you know, did you get a new pair of shoes this month? I don't give a shit what it is. Just call them and just say, I want to know what's going on in your life. You know, just keep them going on, and then tell them what's going on in your life. It doesn't really matter. Keep those connections, keep the conversations going, even if you're texting them. And you know me, I hate texting. I think texting is the worst thing that could have been invented. But that's just me. I'd rather have a phone call. But a lot of people don't believe in phone calls these days. Even though that's exactly what Alexander Graham invented the damn phone for. But
I don't mind text. You can
that.
text me.
Me, I'd rather have a phone call. But anyway, because texting, I'm already writing something, so I'd rather have a fucking phone call. Anyway, those are a couple things that you can be able to do. Make sure that your meditation and you're keeping those people that don't need to have rent in your head out. That's another way of being able to do it. Make sure you drink a lot of water and you keep your body healthy is another way of doing that. Make sure you laugh a lot, that you take care of yourself. There's all kinds of ways that we can be able to do that. Don't just sit there and get caught in the river of despair and let despair and bullshit catch you in your boat.
Fair enough.
What's your suggestion, Saul?
Well, I don't know. It's something that I'm working my way through. I've always been one of those that belonged on the island of misfit toys. I've never really connected super well with people around me. Maybe that means I'm on the spectrum in some way. That seems to be the answer that comes up a lot for people that are awkward, but I don't know that that's the only answer. No shame in it no shame in it if that turned out to be the case. But I've not been tested or anything like that. I just kind of forge ahead. And I'm guessing that maybe there are a few people in our audience that also feel a little disconnected and awkward with folks. And so, for me, things that I'm trying to do to keep myself grounded, one, I'm trying to not disconnect from the information. There's a part of me that just wants to just go la 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 and not know any of it because it's overwhelming and frustrating. But yet I gotta have some idea of what's going on so that if I encounter it, that I can see it coming, but I need to not do that all day long. I have a little bit of a morning regimen where I look at some things that are going on, a few sources I look to. I have a few places I check periodically to see what's going on. But then I also try to have a point where I go, okay, that's enough for today. I've been watching some TV shows that I haven't caught up on, like Star Trek Discovery and things like that pull me out of this reality somewhat. Art, right? And I need to go spend some time in some museums and look at things reflected in different ways. I wish Austin had more access to art museums. We used to have an art museum, but it's a little broken up now. I miss being able to go to some place like the Dallas Museum of Art, or those places like the New York and Paris that have these incredible places for art. I'm also trying to focus more on creating art. I mean, that's part of my lifestyle, but I've slacked off on that a little bit, and I need to not. And I think art in particular is something that is extremely human. That whether or not you feel like you draw well, you can draw something. Whether you think you're good at poetry, you can write something. The whole point of it is not for people to go, oh my gosh, your art is amazing. It's for you and the muse to get it out there. Right? It's keeping with our boat metaphor. It's a bilge pump. Right? It's taking that stuff that is accumulating inside and getting it out there, expressing it in some way so that it doesn't fester and rot inside of you, and addressing it externally. And it may be that you show someone your art and they relate, and it becomes something that moves beyond you. But even if it doesn't, even if it just accumulates in your own little notebooks on your shelves, then that's fine too. It's that expression. And one of the things that has happened to us is we have moved away from creation being a part of our normal lifestyle, and we've become consumers. Right? Even if you go back into the 50s, right? And you see movies, people were putting on shows and singing to each other, and there was some sharing, some effort going into that kind of thing. They weren't just playing what was mass produced. It was a mixture. And you go even further back, before the 20th century, that's all we had. Right? People had to entertain each other because there was no radio entertainment, there was no television entertainment, there were no movies. There were books and things like that going on, but people kind of had to take responsibility for their own forms of expression there to a much greater degree. And I think that really we've lost that capability as a culture of really engaging in that kind of self-expression. We need to be much more open mic about things than we have been. And you don't need an audience to do it. You can just do it. And I think everybody should.
Mm-hmm.
Make your own space more like you, if you can't make the bigger space more like you, at least to begin. And share with those people you can gather to you. I think that's another hard thing. I have a lot of difficulty. I don't really have a lot of time where I just get people together. We just hang out. That used to be a thing, going and hanging out at the pub and that sort of thing, and just talking about stuff. And it seems like right now, at least for me, everything seems to be transactional. I'm not hanging with people, I'm meeting with people. We're not just going, hey, what's up? We're not playing what if games. Right? Have you ever played a game with your friends about what would you do if you won the lottery? And you start building your compound in your head and all the things you're going to do and share with everybody. I remember doing that stuff. It was a fun game. I haven't done that for more than a decade. with anybody. And I feel that those human connections are getting kind of messed up, partly because we're really busy, because we're trying to get ahead, we're trying to improve ourselves constantly. It's like we're always in training, and we've forgotten how to be. What the hell, Flame?
All right, so we're going to leave you with that thought.
Swell.
And that's all for our show today. So embrace your power, support your community, and keep your fuzzy babies, your family, friends, and yourself safe. And have an absolute magical week.